Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack compelling ideas and sources to give you the freshest insights. Have you ever felt like genuine connection is getting harder to find in our always-on world?
Definitely.
Or maybe you struggle to get your ideas heard or even, get your family to truly listen.
Yeah, that happens.
Today, we're diving deep into a timeless classic that offers surprisingly simple answers to these very modern dilemmas. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Classic.
Right. And this isn't about manipulation, okay? It's really about profoundly understanding human nature to build better, more genuine connections.
And honestly, Emily, those principles are more crucial now than maybe ever before. We're living in this increasingly disconnected, sometimes polarized, and just noisy world.
Noisy.
Yet we're all craving that real connection, aren't we?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we've just forgotten the fundamental skills of, engagement and understanding.
That's a great way to put it.
This deep dive is really about recapturing that essential human capability.
So let's talk about Dale Carnegie himself. Who was he, and what makes this book, continue to resonate so powerfully decades after it was first published?
Well, Dale Carnegie's own story is quite something. He wasn't born into privilege or anything. He grew up on a Missouri farm, apparently didn't see his streetcar till he was 12.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Faced significant financial struggles, worked odd jobs, picking strawberries, cutting weeds, selling bacon for armor, and even talked about being a total failure initially in public speaking.
That's hard to believe now.
Right. But it was those early difficulties that really shaped his understanding of people and connection. It led him to develop his famous courses.
So he started with public speaking.
He did, yeah. Initially, it was all about public speaking, but he quickly realized adults needed more than just, polished in their delivery. They needed training in what he called the fine art of getting along with people.
Ah, the fine art. I like that. So the book wasn't just his personal theories then? How did he actually develop these principles? Was it just him?
Oh, not at all. This book wasn't, dashed off in a few months. It was the result of years of pretty rigorous research.
Okay.
Carnegie and his team, they basically devoured everything they could find. Ancient philosophers, modern psychologists, you name it. And he personally interviewed scores of successful people. We're talking Marconi, Thomas Edison, FDR.
Wow, big names.
Yeah, really big names, all to figure out their techniques in human relations. The book literally grew out of what he called his laboratory of human relationships, involving thousands of adults testing these very ideas in their own lives.
A laboratory of human relationships? That sounds incredibly thorough. It really explains why it's still such a bestseller. What's the core reason it's still so relevant, maybe even in fields you wouldn't expect?
It really boils down to this. Human skills are just paramount. There's research by the Carnegie Foundation, later confirmed by Carnegie Tech, that found something pretty staggering.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Even in super technical fields like engineering, something like 85% of a person's financial success comes from skill in human engineering. Basically, personality and the ability to lead people.
85%. That's huge. Not just technical know-how.
Exactly. Much more than just the technical knowledge. So these principles, they aren't abstract theories. They're proven methods that, as the book says, kind of work like magic. Revolutionizing lives, improving relationships, boosting careers. It's just essential for navigating modern communication because it tackles those fundamental human desires that, they just don't change.
That number, 85%, is just, wow. It really gets down to the core of human interaction, doesn't it?
It really does.
And speaking of those core ideas, let's jump into some of the key principles from the book. This is where we really see how to apply this wisdom. The first one. It's a tough one for a lot of us. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
Right. It sounds so simple, but it's profoundly challenging. Why? Because it completely flies in the face of our natural instinct to find fault, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Carnegie says criticism is futile and actually dangerous. His genius wasn't just saying don't criticize, but showing why it's so ineffective. It triggers that primal defensive response.
Puts people on guard immediately.
Exactly. Puts them on guard, wounds their pride, and usually just stirs up resentment. Our brains are basically wired to protect our self-image no matter what.
Yeah, I can definitely see that in myself sometimes. And he gives some pretty stark examples, right? Like notorious criminals, Al Capone, two-gun Crowley.
Yeah. the famous ones.
They never blamed themselves. They saw themselves as public benefactors. Can you believe it? They just rationalized everything. It makes you realize how deep that self-preservation instinct runs.
It's so true. And you see it in psychology, too. B.F. Skinner's experiments showed rewards work way better than punishment for changing behavior long term.
Right, positive reinforcement.
And Hans Selye, another great psychologist, he summed it up perfectly. As much as we thirst for approval, we dread condemnation. So if you want people to cooperate, criticism just isn't the way. It triggers that defense reflex.
Which brings us nicely to a beautiful counterpoint. Give honest and sincere appreciation. This one really resonates with me.
Oh, absolutely. William James, the famous psychologist, called the craving to be appreciated the deepest principle in human nature.
The deepest principle.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Carnegie really emphasizes this isn't about shallow flattery, right? Flattery is often selfish, insincere. People see through it.
Yeah, usually.
True appreciation, though, it comes from the heart. It's unselfish, and it's universally admired because it fulfills that deep human hunger to feel seen, to feel valued.
I think of Charles Schwab, the steel magnate. Carnegie talks about him a lot. Schwab said his success came down to his ability to arouse enthusiasm in people. How?
Wow.
By giving appreciation and encouragement. He was apparently anxious to praise, but loath to find fault. That's such a stark contrast to how many leaders, frankly, operate today.
It really is, and it applies just as much in our personal lives, you know. There's that powerful story in the book about a husband.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, his wife asked him, maybe during a self-improvement kick, to list 6 things she could improve about herself.
Uh-oh, dangerous territory.
Totally. But instead of doing that, he sent her 6 red roses the next day with a note. It said something like, I can't think of 6 things I would like to change about you. I love you the way you are.
Ah, that's lovely. How did she react?
She was apparently almost in tears of joy. It just highlights how often we neglect to give people that hearty appreciation they crave, almost as much as they crave food, Carnegie says.
Such a simple thing, but so powerful. Okay, next up, another seemingly simple yet incredibly powerful principle. Smile.
Yeah, it seems almost too simple, doesn't it? Like, really, just smile.
Right.
But Carnegie shows how a smile is actually a powerful, nonverbal psychological trigger. It bypasses our cognitive defenses, signals safety, signals openness. It's like a little micro moment of human engineering.
Human engineering through a smile. I like that.
It disarms people and invites connection. Remember Elbert Hubbard's advice Carnegie quotes, whenever you go out of doors, greet your friends with a smile and put soul into every hand clasp. It's that immediate signal of warmth.
And I remember Carnegie's own story putting this to the test. He went into the post office, right, and there was this bored clerk.
Looking thoroughly miserable.
Instead of just, doing his business and leaving, Carnegie decided to try some appreciation. He sincerely complimented the clerk's hair.
Bit random, but okay.
Right. But the clerk's face apparently just beamed, and he confessed, many people have admired my hair. It totally made his day, changed the whole interaction, made it pleasant, memorable.
It just shows how such a small gesture can shift the entire energy of an interaction. A smile creates happiness, builds goodwill, makes life more pleasant and interesting.
Yeah.
Carnegie says it's rest to the weary, daylight to the discouraged, sunshine to the sad. It's like nature's best antidote to trouble because it's this direct, almost unconscious invitation for a positive connection.
Okay, moving on. Another vital principle for connection. Become genuinely interested in others. This feels like it should be intuitive, but maybe it isn't practiced as much as it should be.
Well, Alfred Adler, the famous Viennese psychologist, he was pretty blunt about it. He said, it is the individual who is not interested in his fellow men who has the greatest difficulties in life.
Ouch. Okay.
Right. True friendship, real connection, it isn't about trying to impress other people with how fascinating you are. It's about being truly interested in that.
That's a key distinction.
Carnegie's insight here is that genuine interest isn't just like being polite. It actually makes people feel important, which, as we know, is a hugely powerful motivator.
I think of that salesman story, Edward M. Sykes Jr., the Johnson & Johnson guy.
Oh, yeah, the drugstore owner.
Right. He went over this really difficult drugstore owner, but not by schmoozing the owner first. He started by talking to the soda jerk and the sales clerks.
These seemingly unimportant people, as the book says.
Exactly. He showed genuine interest in them. So when he finally got to the owner had already heard from his staff about this guy who actually paired. What happened?
Double order and a loyal customer from then on.
Boom. It's about building rapport at every level, just by valuing everyone you interact with.
It's a powerful illustration. Showing genuine interest, it wins you attention, it wins you time, cooperation. It really proves that old saying from Publius Syrus, the Roman poet.
What was that?
We are interested in others when they are interested in us. It's just a fundamental reciprocity baked into human interaction.
That makes perfect sense. Which naturally leads us to the next point. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. This one feels particularly challenging today with all the distractions.
Oh, massively challenging. But Charles W. Eliot, who was president of Harvard for ages, he said it best. Exclusive attention to the person who is speaking to you is very important. Nothing else is so flattering as that.
Nothing more flattering than being truly listened to.
Exactly. People genuinely prefer good listeners to good talkers. The insight here is that when you provide that safe, attentive space for someone to express themselves, you're fulfilling this deep human need they have to be heard and understood. And that is incredibly validating.
I think of that story about the New York Telephone Company's troubleshooter. This guy had to deal with an absolutely irate customer.
Oh, the one who was cursing and threatening lawsuits.
That's the one. And the troubleshooter, what did he do? He just listened patiently for nearly 3 hours.
3 hours, wow.
Just listened, sympathized, let the guy vent, and eventually the customer's anger just dissipated. The problem got solved. The guy even withdrew his complaints. It wasn't about arguing or even giving advice. It was just about providing that outlet.
It's such a powerful lesson. You know, Carnegie mentions even Abraham Lincoln found clarity just by talking things out with a friendly listener, not necessarily seeking advice. He just needed to unburden himself. So the takeaway is, if you want to be interesting, be interested. Ask questions that other people will actually enjoy answering. Encourage them to talk about themselves, their accomplishments.
Right.
And always remember, as Carnegie puts it starkly, a person's toothache means more to that person than a famine in China which kills 1 million people. Their world, their problems, their interests, that's paramount to them. Listening validates that.
That's a powerful reminder of perspective. And it ties beautifully into the last principle we'll really dive into today. Make others feel important and, crucially, do it sincerely.
Yes, John Dewey called the desire to be important the deepest urge in human nature. It's what separates us from animals, he argued, and it's driven civilization itself.
The deepest urge.
And William James, again, called it the craving to be appreciated. Carnegie's insight is that fulfilling this craving in others is just incredibly powerful. Why? Because it appeals directly to that core human need for recognition, for value.
I remember the story of David G. Smith, the guy handling refreshments at a charity concert.
Ah, yes, the fighting ladies.
Exactly. 2 elderly ladies were apparently almost coming to blows over who was really in charge. Classic situation, right?
Totally. What did he do?
Instead of just laying down the law, he got clever. He gave the cash box to one lady, making her responsible for the money, made her feel important. Then he asked the other lady to supervise the teenagers working the soda machine, putting her in charge.
So he gave them both specific, important roles.
Exactly. By making them feel important, he didn't just resolve the conflict. They both apparently jumped into their duties happily. Problem solved.
It really underscores that wisdom from Emerson that Carnegie quotes. Every man I meet is my superior in some way. In that, I learn of him.
That's good.
Recognizing and genuinely acknowledging the importance in others, sincerely, it's not just about being polite. It's fundamental for effective human relations because it builds that foundation of respect and cooperation.
Okay, so we've covered these core principles. Now, you might be listening and thinking, okay, this book was written, what, almost a century ago?
Yeah, 1936, I think.
Oh.
A long time ago.
How do these ideas hold up in our modern, super-wired digital world? And what's fascinating, Jake, is they're arguably more critical now than ever before.
I completely agree. Think about social media, for instance. That desire to be important Carnegie talked about. Where does it show up?
Likes, followers, validation. It's constant.
Exactly. It manifests as this relentless craving for online validation. And criticism. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
It can spread like wildfire online, can it? And wound really deeply.
Anonymity doesn't help.
Not at all. So that need for genuine interest, for sincere appreciation, rather than just superficial engagement or drive-by comments, it's amplified when so many interactions are virtual and just prone to misunderstanding.
That's a great point. Then there's remote work. So many people are doing it now. Building rapport, building trust when you're not physically in the same room. That takes conscious effort.
Huge effort. You have to intentionally apply these principles. Like really practice active listening on video calls, not multitasking.
Guilty sometimes.
We all are. Making colleagues feel important in virtual team meetings, maybe giving them specific shout-outs, giving specific, sincere appreciation for remote contributions becomes absolutely essential.
Because it's easier to feel unseen remotely.
Exactly. That lack of appreciation Carnegie mentioned causing problems way back then, it can absolutely lead to burnout and high turnover in remote teams if people don't feel seen and valued.
And finally, let's talk about emotional burnout. It feels like everyone's stressed, right?
The pace is relentless.
In this high-stress, fast-paced world, people are maybe more sensitive to criticism and definitely more starved for genuine human connection and appreciation.
I think so. So applying these principles, consciously avoiding criticism, offering sincere praise, truly listening it can significantly reduce friction in our daily lives. It fosters psychological safety.
Which we all need more of.
Absolutely. It helps combat burnout just by making our interactions more positive, more meaningful. It's about creating an emotional environment where people can actually thrive, not just survive.
So these aren't just, old school tricks or quaint ideas. They're foundational truths about human nature that just get amplified in our modern world.
Spot on.
Okay, so to sum it all up, if you take nothing else away from this deep dive today, maybe remember these 5 core principles. First, always try to avoid criticism, condemnation, or complaining. It just doesn't work long term.
Right.
Second, give honest and sincere appreciation generously. Look for the good. Third, cultivate genuine interest in other people. Ask questions. Be curious.
Crucial.
Fourth, be an attentive listener. Put the phone down. Make eye contact. Encourage others to talk about themselves.
Big one.
And finally, number 5, make the other person feel important and always do it sincerely.
Excellent summary. And maybe we can offer just 3 immediate, actionable ways you can implement these principles, like starting today.
Yeah, let's make it practical. Go for it.
Okay, number 1. In your daily life, before you react to a frustrating situation, maybe your kid is acting out, or your partner has a habit that drives you nuts.
We've all been there.
Right. Just pause. Before reacting, pause and ask yourself, why might they be acting this way? Really try to see it from their perspective. It's about shifting from immediate judgment to understanding first.
Okay, pause and perspective shift. I like it. What's number 2?
Number 2, at work, consciously look for opportunities. Actively search for them to give specific, sincere appreciation.
Not just good job.
Exactly. Instead of a generic good job, try saying something like, hey, I really appreciate how you handled that difficult client call, especially how you stayed calm when they got upset, because it really saved the situation. See the difference?
Yeah, the specificity makes it land. It feels real.
Totally. It shows you are actually paying attention and valued their specific action and its impact. Makes it incredibly genuine.
Okay, and number 3?
Number 3, in your relationships, friends, family, make a small habit of remembering little details about them. Birthdays are obvious, but maybe specific interests, projects they're working on, things they care about.
Like their favorite sports team or something.
Exactly. Then use those details proactively. Show genuine interest. Make them feel important when you interact. It could be a quick text saying, hey, saw your team won last night, or asking, how's that garden project coming along you mentioned?
Small things that show you care and remember.
Precisely. It reinforces connection and makes people feel truly seen.
Those are great practical tips. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Dale Carnegie's timeless wisdom. We really hope you found these insights as valuable as we have.
It's always great to revisit this stuff.
Definitely. And we'd love to hear from you, our listeners. What principle from Dale Carnegie resonated most with you? Jump into the comments section below this video and share your thoughts.
Yeah, we'd love to read them. And hey, if you found this deep dive helpful, please do give the video a like and definitely subscribe to the OwlEcho channel for more self-growth content.
Please do.
And turn on those notifications so you don't miss our future deep dives. We're always uncovering fascinating topics to help you live a richer, fuller life. Thanks for tuning in.